This is Corey Willis with PPEI, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
I'm Adam Blattenberg from Diesel World.
Hi, I'm Clint Cannon from ATS.
This is Dan, owner of ATS Diesel Performance.
I'm Cass from Diesel Doctor of Tennessee, and you're listening to the Diesel Podcast.
What is going on, Diesel Nation? We're excited to have you guys with us today. We've got a cool episode. It's a podcast listener. He reached out to us. His name's Cody, and he was telling us about his 4th gen build, which it started as a daily driver farm truck, something he used every day, and he's turned it into a strictly race truck. And he's going to talk to us about what he did, when he first got the truck, and then how the build evolved and decisions he had to make along the way for turbo, fueling, transmission, and suspension, and all these different things that went into it, and give us some tips on things that helped him along the way and things he might do different if he was to start over again. So we think you guys are going to really enjoy this, and we want to remind everyone out there, if you've got a really cool build or something you're really proud that you built yourself, just send us an email. Our email is info@thedieselpodcast.com, or you can tag us or message us on Instagram. Just search for the Diesel Podcast on either platform. We check messages all the time. We love to hear from you guys and see what you guys are building, what you put together, the stories behind it, and just the whole process. So that's what Diesel's built around. That's what the community is really known for, is being independent, doing things yourself. So keep blowing us up, keep sending us messages, and you never know, it could end up on the podcast. And before we get to it, we want to thank 2 of our sponsors that help make episodes just like this one possible. The first is Diesel World Magazine. The guys over there they do an amazing job of covering diesel performance, trends, events, tons of different things. And you can go right on their website. It's dieselworldmag.com. You can see new products, in-depth builds, opinions on diesel performance or what's happening in diesel, new engines, new emissions regulations, basically anything that's going on in diesel, you could see it right there. So it's almost as it happens, you get to see it. And you can also listen to the Diesel Podcast on their website as well. Second is ATS Diesel Performance, and during this podcast you're going to hear about like the ATS dual fueler kit, and those guys over there are doing a ton for new diesels as well as the old ones. So whether you've got a 5.9 or 7.3, or you've got a new 6.7 Powerstroke or 6.7 Cummins, whatever truck you might have, they've got parts for you, from turbo kits, whether it's single or compounds, transmissions, exhaust manifolds, tons of different things. Go on to atsdiesel.com. You can search by your year and make truck and then break it down into categories. So if you just want to look at transmissions, just want to look at turbos, dual fueler kits, you can search those right there, order off the website. If you have any questions, you can give the guys over there a call. They're more than happy to help you. All right, let's get into this 4th gen build and have Cody tell us about it. Cody, welcome to the Diesel Podcast, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you? I'm honored to be on the show. I've been listening for quite a long time, and kind of helped me throughout my build, just listening what other guys have to say, and it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm glad you emailed us, and it was really cool to hear about your truck, and I know our listeners are gonna love it. We've got a lot of 4th gen 6.7 Cummins fans out there, and so when you said that, and also the way the truck started, like you used it daily driving and everything, and then basically turned it into a race truck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what a lot of guys do.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those deals, I guess. I don't know. It just happened, I guess. Is kind of my passion for this diesel racing is just blew up. It's kind of just started and went from there, and now it's coming to this.
But tell us how the truck started. What year is it? What'd you get it to? What was your main purpose when you bought it, and those early days of owning it?
Sure. Well, so I bought it brand new off the lot. It had 5 miles on it in 2011. 2011 4-door long bed 6.7 Cummins. Within 500 miles, I've always been turning trucks up and everything back through my days, so it was deleted within 500 miles. I just went with the H&S tuner from I had Ryan do some custom tuning. I think it was like MMC back then. put some 120 nozzles on it. I had a twin CP3 ATS pump that actually I had on my 03, my previous truck. And I slapped that on there, put a fast on it, and then I put a DPS 364/80 twin on it. And I mean, I daily drove this forever. Stock training, I had the trans tune in it. And I beat the hell out of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a farmer, so I mean, I was, changing water, towing heavy loads, trailers, and even with the stock training, it held it no problems, and I went from there. And then I kind of got into diesel racing. Kind of a guy around our local area is like, come to the track, see what you do. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. So I went over to our local track. It's about 70 miles away over in Medford, Oregon. And sure enough, I was like mid-13s with it, stock training, trying not to lead too hard, trying not to break anything. And, so, by the end of the year, I actually ran a 13.1 with it. That was my best time with that setup. And on the last race, I left a little too hard and finally broke the 68. So
that's a good run, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising. I mean, with how much abuse I put to this truck, I mean, to run a 13.1 on just a trans tune on those, and I mean, back in 11, I think it was about 13, 14, kind of when the truck was at that point when I broke it. So I mean, it had probably 60,000 miles on it, and finally I broke it, and I called Dave at Ultimate Transmission up in Idaho, and talked with him, and he kind of didn't run down, what are you going to do with the truck? And at that point in time, I was still wanting to daily drive it and work out of it, because I didn't really have another rig. That was just my truck, So he told me, at first he was like, if you want to go big horsepower, they're working on the 48 swap back then, and he's like, 48 swap it, but still daily driving it. Maybe let's keep the 68. And so he talked me into building a 68. At the time, it was like, he kind of rated it 850 horse. So I did that. That cost quite a bit of money, but it was probably just as much to build that than I was at 48 swapping it.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah. I kind of like the 6-speed and that aspect of it for towing and everything. And so I was like, I'll just do that. I ain't going to go faster, but things always change.
Well, when I read your email and you'd said, it's a daily driver, farm truck. Now it's strictly race truck.
Yeah, now it's strictly race truck. I mean, So back in 15, so when I got that ultimate tranny put in it, I was like, all right, need more, got to go faster. So I pulled the injectors out, the 120 nozzles, and I put some 250 industrials in it. And then during this time, I popped the 64 millimeter charger, so I bought a Fat Shaft 66 and had industrial rework the 80, and they made it into an 83. And with that built tranny, I went back over to the races and just ran a 12.5 with it. And then I kind of did some dyno events with it. I went down to TP in Santa Rosa, and it did 661 on that setup. So that was pretty cool. I mean, it surprised everybody because, I mean, I still had my headache rack and my pack tanks to fill the tractors, and just dirty too. I mean, I could never keep my pickup clean because I'm always in the field. And, it was pretty awesome. And then I was still running that, H&S tune through Ryan on this whole setup. And then that's kind of when the EFI Live was coming out for the 2011 trucks.
Yeah.
And, so I thought, well, let's get a little bit more power, So I had Robert Ivy at the time. I think he's at Calibrated now, but it was like, Altered Diesel Works. He, tuned the truck, and kind of my goal on that whole setup was I want an 11-second daily driver, and finally did it. I went 11.9 with it. So that was pretty awesome with the 68. And then kind of raced it, and I broke the tranny again, and I called Dave, and we kind of knew it was an 850 horse tranny, and my track times and my weight, I was probably right there at, that 850, 900 horse range. So that's kind of what inspired the full out, let's just build it.
Did you go with the 48 swap?
I did. I completely just went crazy with the build, and I just thought, it'd be cool, 4-door long bed. At the time, there's kind of not very many people doing it. I mean, Levon's white truck, his tow truck, I'm not anywhere near that caliber, but, just being a farm kid doing that, it was pretty cool to have a 4-door long bed, make it into a race truck, so just something different.
For the people out there that are listening, and they could be a 3rd gen, 6, 7, or 4th gen, they get into the same situation that you were in back then, where they make the power, the motor can handle it, and they're in between a 68 RFE and a 48 RE swap. What would you say, what did you like about the 68 versus what do you like about the 48 RE that's in it now?
The 68 was probably more, just daily driving it. They shift so nice and and everything, but if you want the power and stuff, they got them pretty well figured out now. Randy down there in Utah, he's got that thing figured. But I went completely 48 manual valve body, the whole works. I kind of just wanted the whole control over that transmission, and and I think it's going to hold whatever I throw at it. Basically, David up there in Ultimate, he put me at a 2600 stall in it. It's got all the big fat shafts in it. It's built bad to the bone. It's actually almost identical to what Tyler Kipp runs in his race truck. So it's pretty cool. Except mine's a 48, his is a 47. So just a little bit different.
When you were looking at doing the manual valve body versus doing like a PCS standalone, what made you choose the manual valve body versus the electronic?
Kind of my biggest fallback, I guess, is me working on my own truck, is the wiring and the tuning of the PCM, it might be a little bit above what I'm capable of doing. So I kind of went more simpler, having control at my fingertips. You can probably you probably have way better track times with a PCM or whatever, but I don't know. I just kind of went more the simple route and kind of have full control of it. And plus I like banging gears too. It's kind of nice rolling in and hitting that, and line pressure is 250 and you shift and you trip the tires. That's pretty cool.
You had mentioned in your email that the only thing you didn't do on your truck was the transmission.
Right.
But I wanted to go more in depth with like the twin fueler kit, the turbo kit, the injectors, those kind of things. What was it? Was it something you had done before, or was this the first truck where you dived into it like that?
Well, this is the first truck I actually dived into the motor and went through the motor. Me and my buddy Miles, we pulled the motor out. We kind of dived into that, the whole deal. We just kind of took it slow, read a book and just kind of dived into it. But like on the performance part sides, I've been wrenching on my own pickups for quite a while. And so like the add-on stuff, it was kind of like a no-brainer, and I just bolt stuff on and go from there.
That's so cool about I guess not just Cummins engines, but I'd say mostly Cummins engines, is they're so easy to work on. So like the turbo, you don't even really need to look at the instructions to swap the manifold, put the turbo on, hook the downpipe up, charge pipe. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward stuff. And a lot of these companies, they make it just so simple, and a lot of the stuff is, real clean and nice, easy installs. So just don't be afraid. Just jump in and do it. It's kind of the only way you're going to learn is by doing it, and if you got questions, there's people out there. I constantly bug my buddy down in Southern California, Matt, about, hey, have you done this before, or does this work out, or, or anything, but, just dive in, I guess, and do it.
And when you were doing the motor, did you go do a full motor build, so like billet rods and
Well,
have it all
yeah,
balanced?
I did all that. I kind of went through, kind of right when I started the build, I kind of had a financial deal come up, and it kind of went on the back burner, kind of family first. So my intention was billet rods and everything, but I actually only went with the 12 valve shot peen rods just because my budget just took a huge dent. But I put a girdle in. What else? I've got an industrial race head on it. It's got a Hellman side draft. It's got coated 6.7 pistons. It's a little bit of fly cut relief, 188 cam. Just kind of a mild build. I know it ain't going to be no 1,500 horse truck, but I kind of want to shoot for 1,200, and I know I'm on borrowed time with it, but next winter it's going to get pulled again and get billet rods because I'm more financially sound with everything. It'll kind of fit my budget, but it's been sitting for 2 years now, and I just want to go racing. So I know there's a risk there. So we'll just, I mean, if it happens, it happens. I got another 5.9 block that I can build. So we'll just see what this next race season brings me. So.
Now, when you were looking at doing all these upgrades, did you sit down and come up with a plan? Like, my goal is, say, that 1,200. So every part that I'm going to buy or add to this truck is shooting for that 1,200, or did it kind of just snowball?
It kind of, I had a goal that I really wanted over 1,000 horse, and I mean, there's daily drivers out there with 1,000 horse now, but back then I was like, that was my goal, and when I started building the motor, that was kind of the main focus, anything over 1,000, and I kind of came across a few parts that will now kind of allow me to go to like that 1,200 on air. I'm going to run a 80 millimeter forced induction, single, and it should be enough air for 1,200 horsepower. So I'm kind of, that's where I want to be, is sitting right now, is kind of right in there,
Now, with, say, looking back on it, after you decided, hey, I'm going to do the 48, so let's just say, like, that's the point when you decided, hey, I'm going to go race truck. Were there some things during that process where you'd tell people, hey, this is what I learned, it worked for my build, it might work for yours, and then things where you're like, don't do it this way, I totally messed up, I wasted money or time, or things like that, don't do it this way?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I guess more on the injector side, and maybe now too. It's been later on, but I actually switched this truck over to a full standalone 06 ECM too.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have done that. Now knowing the tuning capability they got on these 2011s, I was thinking RPM back then, and the tuning was just starting to come out, and I was like, I don't know. The 06 ECM, it's proven they can get RPMs out of it. I was going to switch over to that. So if I was building this truck completely over again, I would have kept it 6.7 wiring harness, 6.7 injectors, that kind of deal, I guess. So that's kind of been a rough road for me, because I bought a wiring harness out of a wrecked truck, and my downfall is the wiring aspect of it. So I've been slowly picking through the wiring harness to get it standalone and running from there. So that's kind of a downfall. I would tell the listeners to, maybe if they were thinking about building a fourth gen and kind of going that route.
I think it's something that's really cool that's happened though, over the last few years, like you mentioned, where the tuning for them has come so far that you almost don't even really need to do it now. But in those early days, that was the way to get certain things. The 5.9 ECM just had more available to it, and
exactly
when you want to go fast, that was the only way
yeah,
to do it.
That's the way to do it. So and if my build wasn't taking me so long, I probably would have been back the other way, because I was wishing this truck was running 2 years ago, and so, oh well.
Now, for things that you're like, man, I made the right decision there. Like that saved me time or money or, things like that along the process. What were some things that you did, say for the parts, deciding what to go with, deciding what combination, where to find them, maybe even with the swap, like, finding some of the small things you needed to swap the 48 in.
Right. I've kind of always, the twin pumps, I always had a 10 mil pump and a stock 6.7 pump. So having that, I knew trying to buy parts once. So, because I wasted a lot of money changing my setups, but having the correct fuel for my goal, the correct turbo setup, and I've had twins and everything, and just getting everything to match your own recipe, I guess, and right now I pulled my injectors out. I had some 225s, and I'm actually in the works of trying to look for another set, maybe even bigger. That way, I kind of want to build it bigger now, and kind of detune everything. So if in the process later on, if I want to put rods in it and everything, my fueling set up, my turbo, everything's set up so I can grow into it, I guess, and go from there.
It's one of the big things too is once we get past, like, I'd say turbo and custom tuning, probably built transmission, it's and it's kind of hard too to say, like, when you get 650 horsepower, it's like, man, this is fun, I'm having a great time. And then you get bored with it after it could be a month or 6 months or whatever it is, and you want more, but your fuel's tapped out, so then you buy injectors, and then
exactly
the turbo's tapped, and you gotta do a different turbo setup. And I think trying to find, or even guess, I guess it is, like, where are you gonna be happy? Is it 800, 900, 1200, 15?
And I'm sure I'm going to change. I say 1100 now. I build the motor better, sleeve it, do the works to it. I might be 2000 one day. I don't know. It's just kind of it's going to be year to year. See what happens.
As far as getting it out there to the track, what kind of plans do you have for next year for taking it out, racing it?
So basically, I got it to the point. Once I buy a set of new injectors, truck's ready to go. I finally got it, everything worked out on it. I live in Southern Oregon, and there's always a great event over in Medford. Matt from Siskey Diesel, he just puts on an awesome event down there, and I usually go race over there. I try to go south to like Sacramento, do some races down there, heading a little bit north and head up into Oregon and Washington. Try to do some dyno events and hit some tracks everywhere. So it's kind of my plans for next year on it, and see if I can get the truck. I'd really like to run low 10s. If I can get a high 9 out of it, that'd be sweet. So we'll see if the bottom end holds up with those 12 valve rods, but we'll just go from there.
That's the cool thing about that platform is, like, even if it doesn't, you have a backup plan, tons of parts and upgrades and things that you can do to the spare engine that you have to just have it ready to go.
Just have it ready to go, and then I got the 48, so that's, if the motor blows, so that'll still be good. So I can just pull that out, and we'll just put it in. Maybe I might change it up and go to a short or a single cab pickup. If I want to try to go a little bit faster, but we'll see how fast we can get this 4-door long bed. So,
what'd you do with the suspension setup?
So basically, I cut a coil out of the front and lowered it. Me and my buddy Miles, we built these kind of some control arms. We just used some high joints and everything. So we kind of put that. We cut the cowl out, kind of make some more room for trying to shed a little bit weight, and it makes it awesome since I ain't daily driving it no more, but it makes it awesome to pull the motor or do head work or retorque the head studs or whatever you got to do. We cut some weight out of the fenders. There's kind of like a brace on the fenders we kind of cut out, then we kind of took a hole saw down it and shedded every weight we could in the front end. I'm actually running water to air, so I got my water to air sitting in the passenger seat to kind of help ballast some weight, you know, because it's still about 5,700 pounds, and that was light, so I haven't got me in it and filled up with fuel or anything like that. So it's still pretty heavy. I still got the dash in it, but I stripped all the wiring harness out of it. I stripped all the plastics off the side. I put a race seat in it. It's got a roll bar. Actually, that's another thing that I didn't do is, Cali Fab down in California. They did my roll bar and everything, my roll cage. I gutted the back, the tray and everything that was kind of in the back. I trimmed that all up, kind of made it all nice in there. Cleared all the airbags and everything. Then I got back to the bed and I just gutted the bed completely. It was hammered anyways. It had holes in it. You could see daylight from how much I beat it up on the farm. It should have had a flatbed on it, to be honest with you. But I dropped the rear down to, I got 2 leaves in it, and then there's some crossbars through like where the spare tire is and kind of in the middle of the frame. I cut those out and just put some some tubing in there, kind of brace 2 extra deals, brace it up. One comes down and has like the driveline hoops and stuff on it. Then I came over to try to ballast a little bit more weight. I put my water box on the passenger side, kind of right above the rear tires. And then I have 2 batteries, and there's a bar right there that has some rebound shocks that go straight down. And then I put like a 15-gallon fuel cell along with my fast in the far back, and that's kind of the suspension setup. I mean, it's still nothing fancy, but hopefully we can get some good 60 foots out of it. So
this is full on race truck.
Yeah, I mean it's full on race truck to me, and it's just there's a lot more things guys do, but just listening to guys, looking at their setups, and how can their setup work for me, or what am I capable of doing? Me and my buddy spent I don't know how much time on it. Miles, he's awesome with fabricating stuff. So we're just sitting in the shop and how can we do this, and how can we get the hops out of it? So we look on how everybody else, the rebound shocks and how other guys set them up and that kind of stuff. So we just kind of went from there and kind of made our own recipe, I guess.
I think that's what's so cool and the sweet spot of diesel performance is where you can do this yourself.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to order kit from someone or a part or turbo or something like that, but you can do it. You can do it, with friends or family or by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And you can have a really fast, fun truck. It doesn't have to be, a professional year-round business, so to speak. You can do it, and anyone can do it if they have a passion for it.
Exactly, and I mean, it probably been done a long time ago, but it probably wouldn't be to where it is today if I paid somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I mean, it probably would have been a way better job too, because not knowing and just trying it. But if you got to pay somebody, that's quite a bit of money that you could have put back in your build. And that's kind of the way I've seen it. And then plus when you go out and race it, it's you touched every bolt on this truck, and racing it. I mean, it feels awesome that knowing that you built this, So that's kind of the way I feel about it. And don't get me wrong, I didn't build the whole thing. Me and my buddies, I mean, we I don't know how many hours we spent on this thing, but it's just cool to know that you did it. So anyways,
I think it's a way too to be able to take the build even farther when you're not necessarily paying labor for this, labor for that,
right?
Or shipping the truck someplace and then having it come back. Is you can reinvest that into parts and into other upgrades to make it go faster. And it costs time, and there's probably things that need to be redone, or you gotta do 2 or 3 times, but like you said, you know every bolt on that truck. You've gone over the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, and when you take it out, and if something doesn't work, just come back and try to rethink it, try to redo it, try to make it better, you know. And I'm sure I might launch and something it might hop or not hook or something, but we'll just bring it back and go through it and see what we can fix. So yeah.
I'll definitely encourage the listeners to check us out on like Facebook and Instagram for pictures of this truck, because it sounds really cool, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure we'll a little later today, but
yeah. Hopefully, I got it in our shop right now, and I got we put a bunch of stuff away for winter, so I got to pull it all out, and I want to get it out. But I kind of been bad. I haven't really posted too many pictures on my Instagram about the build, which I should have, but sometimes I'm not very good about that. But I'm going to start doing it quite a bit more, at least on my Instagram page. I kind of keep my Facebook just kind of, you know, personal family stuff, but I kind of built my Facebook page for my strictly race truck. So I had my daily driver while this thing was getting built. I pulled the 48 out of it and my injectors and bought a single turbo and pumps while we were, you know, still building the chassis on this truck, and threw it in my daily driver. And it's a full door mega cab, and went out and ran 1140s with it. So you'll see that a lot on probably more than the race truck on my Instagram right now, but it's Heath.Cody at 947, and that's kind of where my Instagram is, and I'll get more on it and take some more pictures and go through more of this build. So it's been a trip, I know that.
You'll have to let us know when you take it out for its maiden voyage, and get us some videos or tag us on there. And
sure,
I'd really like to see the truck run, and then get your feedback once you take it out and see, you know, what if it performed how you expected or what was different, and kind of some feedback. Yeah,
I surely can do that. I had it ready to go in June, and I fought some ECM problems. I took it over to the racetrack, and that morning before, or the night before the race, and I don't know what we did, and that's kind of my wiring deal, but something happened to ECM. It locked it. I think it put skim back on when we tried to flash it, and it wouldn't start. And finally, it kind of came back, sat. I got some time after farming was over. Farming takes a lot of time in the summertime, and I put a Buddy's ECM on it, and it fired right up. So, just one of those deals, you know. It's just crap. So I'll hopefully we'll have it running once I get a set of injectors. I called DDP. I'm actually thinking about using them as building the injectors on it and get a set of injectors. And it's snowing here, but I'll take it out and do a few test hits on the county road. I kind of live where nobody's at, so it's kind of nice having a little test trip out in front of your house, you know. So I'll definitely get some posts picked up, and the first event I think is going to be that I'll probably go to is in May, kind of like the end of May. There's a dyno and a 8-mile event a little bit north here in Madras, Oregon. So that's kind of be my first event with it. So we'll see how it does.
Yeah, man, you'll have to come back on the podcast and talk to us about it, and
I'd
keep us updated.
I'd love to. And if the motor pops, I'll even come back on it and just tell them, you know, don't put 12-valve rods in it, but hey, that's what I got, you know.
Well, man, I really appreciate your time today, Cody, chatting with us and sharing some knowledge and experiences that you had with, taking your truck from daily driver, farm truck, and pretty much, you went all out on it. That's cool, man.
No, I appreciate you taking my email and giving me a call up, and I know I forgot a lot of stuff on this truck, but that's kind of we'll definitely have to do another one when this thing runs. So
we'll do part 2.
Part 2 sounds great.
Thanks again, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Don't forget, diesel fans, make sure and head on over to dieselworldmag.com, bookmark it. Those guys got a ton of great info, up-to-date information as well. So if you want to stay on top of everything happening in diesel, those guys got it. And also ATS Diesel Performance. You just go to atsdiesel.com. You can check out parts for your truck, whether you just want a little bit more towing power, lower EGTs, or you're doing a full-on build like the one we talked about today, those guys got parts for you. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.